Today is the first day of the rest of your life. Open your mind and let go of the fears of midlife and aging. Some people see midlife as a time of stress and overwhelm, but we're not going to do that. We see midlife as an opportunity for continued learning and growth. Life's a journey, not a destination. It's a continual process and can get better all the time. And the best part, you can write your own rules. So in each Midlife Magic episode, we're going to have conversations with interesting and cool people that will give you the inspiration and know-how on how to live your best life. Are you ready? Let's go. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Midlife Magic. This is a Grit, Gumption and Grace episode with my good friend, Michele Yarbrough. As we get into the conversation, you'll learn all about Michele and her new venture with the Armory Bookstore in Monroe, Georgia. Michele and I go way back. I mean, probably back, I don't even know, maybe 10 years or so, where we first met on Facebook when I was in a scream-free parenting workshop, which is a fabulous book, by the way. If you are interested in learning more about that, I'll put that in the show notes if you guys are curious about scream-free parenting. But Michele just has a heart for so many things. She's passionate about her faith. She's passionate about helping women. She's passionate about a business and being an entrepreneur and her family, so many good things. And her story and her journey, I think we all can relate to in one way or another. Kind of where she was and where she started is very different than where she is today. And I'm really excited for her and her mission and vision for the Armory Bookstore. So you guys, I hope you enjoy this episode of Grit, Gumption and Grace. Well, hey, everyone. Welcome back. I'm your host, Lisa Mustard, and this week's guest is a friend of mine. Her name is Michele Yarbrough. Welcome. Welcome, Michele. It's great to have you.
Thank you. It's so great to be here. I love podcasts, and I love doing them too.
Yeah, they're so much fun. And you and I were just chit-chatting prior to getting started. You have some really cool things to share with us. So I think I'm trying to remember how we initially met. I think we met many years back through a scream-free parenting group on Facebook, right?
Yes, I was trying to remember the same thing because I know the connection is through scream-free parenting, but I'm pretty sure it was on Facebook. And I don't know how. I love just following people, and somehow we connected, and then I love just following the thing you were doing, and so that's how it happened.
Yeah, and I love watching you and following you. But for those who don't know, be sure and go check out Scream Free Parenting. Is he still doing his? Do you know if he's still doing that?
It's definitely still out there.
Okay,
but I don't think that it's as active, so to speak, as it was in the past. But yes, it's definitely still out there and still very influential, I know, in my life. So
yeah, it's a great program. And I'll put links in the show notes so if people want to check it out. But it's all about like paying attention to your own reactions and thoughts and behaviors and how you want to show up as a parent. Like, are you projecting that onto your children? So we'll link to all that. But let's talk about where you are today. So it's so cool. I love it. I don't want to get it wrong. So last time I think you and I connected and chatted, you were doing the balloon boxes, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. And that has evolved as you've evolved. And so give us a little bit of your history. And first of all, you're in Georgia. You're in Monroe, Georgia, right? Which is one of my second favorite Southern state after South Carolina. So
yes.
Yeah. So tell us.
Oh my goodness. So yes, I live in Monroe, Georgia, and I been married for almost 30 years, and I have 3 children. My son Jacob is 26, my son Jared is 23, and my daughter is 18. So when I actually moved to Georgia from Kentucky, and just very naive young girl moved to Georgia, and my degree was from EKU, Eastern Kentucky University, actually a Bachelor of Science in Fashion Merchandising. So I love retail. Retail is just in me, has always been in me. And so when I moved to Georgia, I worked a couple of retail places, and then the Lord led me to working for the Christian Armory Bookstore in Tucker. And I just loved working there. I met my husband here. We got married, and I was working there. And then when I got pregnant with my son, my heart's desire was always to stay home. So I left the Christian Armory in 1995. And at that time, he had just sold, the owners are Jim and Pam Ryman, and he had just sold to the family bookstore. And another very interesting thing about Jim is that he has rewritten some of the most beloved devotionals of all time in today's modern language. So that's My Utmost for His Highest, Streams in the Desert, several others that are just amazing devotionals. They were a little bit harder to understand, and so he rewrote those. And unfortunately, about 7 years ago, he passed away. And they were just super, super influential in my life as a young woman. I remember Jim as being just a very outspoken Christian. And honestly, the first example that I'd had as a godly man really at my life at 24 years old. So I left there. I had Jacob, and I started working at my church as a preschool director when he was 1. Loved being with those kids and the parents. And I actually did that for 21 years.
Wow.
I was over 100 volunteers every Sunday, ministered to moms and families. And then when the Lord called me away from that 4 years ago, I couldn't understand it. I was really like a fish out of water because I knew that it was time, but I was just kind of floundering, and I worked for several different things. I even worked for a marketing company. I just did several things. And then I walked into a boutique in downtown Athens called Epiphany, which I absolutely adore, and just want to give them a big shout out too. And I was back in retail. I was back in my element. And then he opened a store in my hometown, downtown Monroe, which is thriving. And people are just very local and love to shop local. So I was working there, and I was doing a couple other things on the side, just loving it, just feel like I was finally in my groove. And then I started thinking about how sad it was that all the Lifeway bookstores had closed.
Yeah.
Every single Lifeway closed across the country in 2019. So I was talking with a friend, and she said, "Oh, Michelle, you should totally do that. You should just open a Christian bookstore." And I thought, there is no way. I am 55 years old. My husband, at the same time that I left, that was not planned. It's just the way the Lord had it happen. He retired from the fire department, and he still works as a paramedic at a local hospital. So we literally had all of our weekends off that we have not had our entire marriage. So my friend mentioned this to me, and I'm like, no, I had my weekends. I'm almost an empty nester. I'm 55 years old. Well, when I tell you from that moment, the dream wouldn't stop. Like, it was not going to stop. The Lord wasn't going to let it stop. So then I started thinking about all of my time at the Christian Armory and how much I loved it. And I called Pam, the owner's wife, and I told her what I was thinking about. And I said, this dream just won't go away. And she said, well, Michelle, let me ask you something. She said, is it your dream or is it your calling? And she said, Jim always knew it was his calling. And I said, yep. Ooh, didn't mean that to happen.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So I met, when you're dreaming or you're thinking of something like this and something is implanted in you, sometimes all you can do is literally take the first step. Yeah. And so the first step was meeting with the lady from the city and just telling her what was going on. And honestly, my exact words to her were, the Lord just told me to meet with you, and this is the beginning. And she took me down to this adorable little space in our town that has never been retail. It is literally a hallway in a building, the Eulalia building in downtown Monroe, and upstairs is offices, and there's actually a couple of VRBOs up there. And so when I first looked at the space, I was like, oh, it's small. It's okay. And we could only look through the door. So then the Lord was just kept saying, just call the owner, just call the owner. So my husband and I called him. And as soon as I walked in that space, it just felt like it was mine. It's very challenging. It's literally a long hallway that is absolutely gorgeous inside. There's only one small little storage space under the stairs. I have all my product delivered to my house, and then we haul it up there. But of course, we know the scripture that says the Lord does not despise small beginnings.
Right.
So once I saw that space, I knew that I could make it happen because the rent was not near as much as the other locations, and it is a prime location in downtown Monroe. So it just, from that point on, I just started the process, and everything. I was first going to start as pop-ups because I thought, oh, I'll just do some pop-ups in there, see how it goes. But after the first 2 weeks, and after the success and just the outpouring of the community and how much they loved it, I went straight into being open Thursday through Saturday every single week. And it has just been wonderful, but it has been exhausting and hard at the same time. And that's what you and I were talking about before we started recording, was when you start something like this, number one, it does have to be a calling, and you have to do your research. That was the first thing I did, was do my research. So I have just been talking and talking. Do you have any questions?
No, this is great. No, I love it. Maybe dive into, because, my listeners are women, and, of course, Southern, I'm hoping. And then, of course, around the country and maybe other countries as well. But my thought is we have more in us. We have maybe a calling or a passion, and we're at a job that, it's good. It's nice. I'm making, my bills are paid. My kids are good. I have health insurance, but there is something more in me. So maybe, definitely tell us about the research. I want to know, like, what are the steps that they should be taking if they have something on their heart calling to them? Like, I love what you've shared so far. So tell us about the research.
Yes. So when all this started, the whole something more is very, very key, because when I left the church, I had that something more feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And then I created You Were Made to Bloom, because I love gift. I love gift giving. So you will probably, there's something the Lord has already put in you that you love doing. Or also, it could have been even a pain, something painful that you've gone through that they always say your mess can become your message.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe there's something out there that you've been through as well. One thing, I just love gift giving. And so I created You Were Made to Bloom, because everything we do in life just evolves to where we end up, or whatever season we're in at the moment. And so the Lord literally gave me the idea of the bloom boxes. And one very practical thing, is I joined Business Boutique, which is a part of Dave Ramsey's organization, and it's run by Christy Wright.
Mm-hmm. So she's awesome.
Yes, awesome. She is amazing. So join Business Boutique, get that book. Her motto is do it scared. And as awesome as that is, I do believe we have to do it scared, but we have to do it smart. We can't just randomly throw it, because that cannot go well. So when I started the bloom boxes, and I still do that, and that's just evolving. But the thing I love about the bookstore is, literally this past week, I just have the bloom boxes out. People walk in, we fill a box for them, and that is evolving, and that will eventually be a part of the Armory Bookstore website. But I don't know how to tell you exactly, other than you'll feel that seed planted. Mm-hmm. And I was a little bit more fortunate than some, because I didn't have a full-time job that we were relying on. I was doing several different things, and my husband has the insurance, things like that. Mm-hmm. So I was a little bit more able to follow something like this. And then there's the whole cost of starting a business too. I've researched grants, and honestly, just haven't really found that much. So I had to start small and grow from there. I did not have $40,000 or $50,000 to put into a big retail space. So that's the best thing I can tell you to do. I literally started Googling, because honestly, the majority of the people were like, bookstores, they're really not doing that great now, and everybody's buying
Yeah.
online, and there is that challenging fact too. But I live in a town that I knew would support it. And a lot of this has to do with a part of the country that you're in.
Mhm.
So I had worked at Epiphany for over a year in downtown Monroe. I've lived in my town for 22 years. So I have watched it and got some experience before I started this. So that's the best thing I can tell you to do. I literally started Googling. And so I found just some great articles. Even one thing was I just did some Googling even on Borders and how they were wanting to decrease the size of their stores, how they want to give managers more responsibility on what they carry, want to carry more local artists and authors.
Mhm.
And I don't know, I'm sure a lot of you out there, it's an older movie, but it's You've Got Mail with Tom Hanks. And the quote that really got me is it said, "What if Tom Hanks listened to Meg Ryan on how to run a bookstore?" Oh, it's the big guys, what if they listened to the little guys on how to do this?
Mhm.
And I got chills when I read that. And it was kind of like a confirming thing for me. And I thought, well, I've just got, why not? And I took the leap and got help with my website. I already have a great graphic designer, and just I was doing a website and got my graphic designer going before I even knew this was going to happen. Because I knew if it was going to happen, that I needed to get it going. And I don't even know if I've mentioned this yet, but we just opened April 1st. So
Mhm.
it's only been a couple of months.
Right.
So I had also read online that with the closing of all the Lifeways, the independent Christian bookstore will be on the rise.
Mhm.
Several things just kept, yes, people buy Amazon. Yes, I know they're going to, but I also know that there are a lot of people out there that want to support local,
Mhm.
and I have witnessed that 1,000%. Not only that, with the closing of all the Lifeways, there hardly is anywhere to
Yeah.
go and actually see a Bible and feel it and look at it and touch it, and to get that Bible imprinted.
Yeah.
So I've found a used imprint Bible machine, and I am currently relearning that skill so that we can offer that as well. I know for us in the Monroe, the closest one is over an hour away.
Mhm.
So the outpouring of just love for this little store has blown me away.
It's amazing. I mean, just following, like, I was like, oh, Michelle's going to open a bookstore. And then I was watching, on Facebook and seeing your posts. And then I was like, oh, she's not just doing pop-ups. Now she's like full time. I mean, it's just been amazing. This episode of the Midlife Magic podcast is sponsored by my favorite fitness apparel, Zyia Active. I discovered Zyia Active when I went looking for high quality and premium workout clothes, just like those luxury store and catalog brands, yet I wanted a budget-friendlier price tag. I love this brand because I live a very active lifestyle. I work out about 5 days a week, plus I love to go for runs and long walks, which I consider to be my very important self-care and podcast listening time. The clothes stay put, I'm not constantly pulling on my leggings or tugging on my sports bras, and they accentuate me in all the right places. And when I work from home, they are the perfect clothes for being comfortable and still stylish. And I can transition to running out the door to pick up our girls or run errands while still looking put together in my athleisure styles. My favorite workout leggings are the Light and Tights, and my favorite everyday wear are the Everywhere pants. Yes, I literally wear them everywhere, every day. I can even wear them to business meetings or client consultations, and I can dress them up or down easily. Want to learn more? Head over to lisamustard.com and click on the activewear page. You can learn all about Zyia Active, the mission, the clothes, and see if they are a fit for you and your active life. From weight training to running to Zumba to yoga to CrossFit to bar to walking to tennis, Zyia Active has you covered. And don't forget about the active men in your life. They have an amazing men's line, plus clothes for active kids too. That's Zyia like Papaya Active. So see my site for all the details. That's lisamustard.com/active-wear. And I do think that, there is something to be said about, Monroe's smaller than Athens, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Is it considered like a suburb of Atlanta now? I mean, I know Atlanta sprawls. Is it?
Yeah, we're about an hour from downtown Atlanta. 45 minutes to an hour, depending on the time of day. And I'm only 30 minutes from Athens.
Yeah.
So Monroe is quickly becoming a destination spot. And just to give another shout out, we have the Story Shop Children's Bookstore there in downtown Monroe, which is incredible. And so we have lots of people coming literally from all over the country to see the Story Shop. We've got, it is amazing. We've got Addison Wonderland Boutique. It's another destination spot for Monroe. We have just really, really, really grown over the past 4 or 5 years. Yeah. So it's become kind of more of a day town, but now with the growth, we do have several VRBOs. It is a huge wedding destination spot. It is also the antique capital of Georgia. So it's a very, very popular little town.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool to know. So you're getting a lot of people coming in for the day to come look at the antiques. And so it's like a destination type of place, which I didn't know that about Monroe. Like that's new to me. I didn't know that.
Wouldn't. And another thing, our city is just, people come from all over too to meet with our city officials to find out what we're doing. This past Saturday, we had Monroe Blooms Flower Festival. Well, I'm all over that with my business, You Were Made to Bloom. And I was blown away. They really do a great job. There's flowers just everywhere, all over our town, and all the individual businesses do different things. And it started at 8:30 in the morning because we do have a farmer's market every Saturday from, I believe it's May to October. And so we had a little bit of rain, roll in about 1, but from 8 to 1. And even after that, people still hung around. We do car shows. We do First Friday concerts. Our city officials do a fantastic job of promoting and doing events that bring people out.
That's awesome, man. Well, I definitely will be coming to Monroe next time I head to Athens. I'm going to come see you. Come check out Monroe. Exactly. Yeah. So that's just so exciting. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit more about your business. So I have a couple questions. And so the first one I want to ask is, what do you wish you had known prior to starting out? Like, what's something that you've learned recently that you kind of wish you had known prior?
One of the reasons that I was so scared about starting this business is I hate the businessy stuff, the paying employees, trying to figure all that out, the financial part of it, the QuickBooks, the this, the that, the paying taxes, all of that stuff. And with this particular industry, kind of what I wish I had known a little more was it just is super time consuming figuring out how do I buy this particular item that I'm interested in. There may be one thing that I see, and I am very fortunate to live in Atlanta, so I can head down to Atlanta Apparel Mart, things like that. But in this particular industry, I did not realize there were just so many ways to purchase product through vendors. There might be one person that represents multiple companies. So that has been super time consuming, is applying for wholesale accounts and figuring out exactly where to get the product that I want to carry.
Okay. Well, that makes sense because that's a whole different type of accounting, and that would take a lot of time, I imagine, to figure all that out. Yeah.
And I will say too, this is another good point to bring up, that when you start a business, you have to factor in the cost of your business. A lot of people will not want to spend money on a website, not want to spend money on a graphic designer. I immediately hired a bookkeeper, like immediately, because those things can cost you money in the long run.
Exactly.
So we have to be willing to spend time on the business as well as in the business, and then spend money to get the business going and to maintain the business.
Yes, totally understand what you mean with all of that. Yeah, because it can cost you in the long run if you're not set up before you even get going. It really
Yes.
can.
And that is probably one thing that I wish I had known. Or, I mean, of course, I knew about rent and I knew about, other costs like that. But there are a lot of other little costs that you have to be prepared for and be willing to put the money into.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. Completely makes sense. Yeah. So, what do you think is your unique skill that has helped you become successful?
I'm really smiling and chuckling a little bit because it is probably the thing that I did not even realize. And it's me.
Mm.
Me. I feel like I was not even aware of. I actually had a friend one time tell me that I was a visionary. And that was several years ago. Thank you, Christina, for telling me that because it blew me away because I did not see myself as that. I did not see myself as an entrepreneur. I guess I felt like maybe I wasn't worthy of that. I even went to the very first business boutique conference and I would see entrepreneur t-shirts and I would think, no, that's not me. I'm going to buy this pray, hustle, repeat t-shirt. I was not giving myself the credit that I deserved or recognizing the skills that I have and just the outgoingness that I have and the love for people and the love for, well, obviously with this type of business, it's getting the word of God literally into people's hands. And my web designer, Trisha, oh goodness, we were sitting there working on my website and I was working on something else and I glanced over on my front page. It said, the Armory Bookstore, a place for your soul to bloom.
Oh.
I said, that's it. I was trying to figure out how to tie the two together. And I lost it, of course, because as you can hear, I'm an emotional, crying person. And I said, Trisha, you nailed it. And it just, that's what I want the Armory Bookstore to be. Also, that's what I am as a person. Like everything I've done my whole life has brought me to this point because I want to see families bloom, women bloom, children bloom. My experience as a preschool director is perfect for this. My experience ministering to women is perfect. The little bit of marketing experience I had is perfect. Everything just rolled together. And so that's a very long answer to your question, but I think it's super important that we as women especially realize that we are daughters of the King and he made us to bloom and he made us to thrive.
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful. Yes, you are the most unique skill. You are the superpower. Like that's it right there.
Yeah.
And you are an entrepreneur. Look at you. Like you deserve that t-shirt. Go get that t-shirt. That's entrepreneur now.
Yes. Yes. And whatever you're doing right now, you may have a business in your heart, but your kids are little. Just, I don't even know how these young moms do this. I do not know how you do it. And kudos to you. But, pour your life. If you feel like it's too much to start a business, pour your life into that family right now. And that is totally fine. And I think there is so much out there right now about building your own business and do that business and you can do it all. Maybe you can't. Maybe you just need to focus on your family and your children right now. And that is your main goal. And that is totally fine. Just know that there will be a season that you could do this. And if it is a season that you feel like you can do all of that, only you can know that.
That's so true. Such wisdom right there. That's wonderful. Wonderful advice.
Yeah, I mean, I spent all these years as a first responder wife with 3 children and working at the church, and even when I was with Scream Free, And I had a couple of jobs at one time. And, we just have to be a little bit more realistic in the season that we're in and what he's called us to do in that season.
Yeah. I love that. Wisdom.
Yeah.
Wisdom. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so a couple more questions. Let's see what else I got here.
I do want to share, I don't think I shared this when I was talking to Pam, the owner. That's actually where the name of the bookstore came from. The Christian Armory that I worked at in Tucker, when I was thinking of a name, I shared with Pam, I said, I would love to call it the Armory Bookstore as a tribute to Jim and all that you guys meant to us. So that is where the name derived from. So when I say, if you are thinking and dreaming of a business, obviously, literally it was 30 years ago that I worked there. And I literally cannot believe it even now that I'm doing a podcast talking about this business, because I got her permission for the name and just asked for her blessing, because it was such a part of my story. And so everything that you have gone through will weave you into where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I love that too. I mean, there's so much to be said about that. Like, it all comes around, and experiences that you have in the moment, you may be wondering like, I'm just ready to move on. I'm ready to kind of move into the next chapter of my life, but it definitely will have a meaning-making imprint on you as you age and as you mature. And, I'm in my late 40s, but I see that so well now versus, 10 years ago. So I'm glad you brought that up. Thanks for, and that's so kind of them. I mean, they sound like they were amazing people and mentors. So
yes,
amazing.
And you're never too old. Never, ever. The number one age for starting businesses is over 50, women over 50.
Mm-hmm.
So it's never.
I'm right on time.
Ever. Yeah. Exactly.
Like, we're right on time. We're doing it all right. Like, we're on that timeline. That's awesome.
Yes, I move a little slower and my body hurts quite a bit from running that floor, but it is what it is. It's never too late. And we can get the help we need with the technology or whatever. It's out there.
Oh, yeah.
That's not an issue.
Right. Yes. I love it. So let's talk a little bit about living in the South. So you grew up in Kentucky. That's right.
Yes, I am definitely a Southern girl. I was born and raised in Kentucky, and I graduated from Eastern Kentucky University. And the interesting thing about after I graduated, I went to work for the Limited, and me and a friend there, she actually moved to Atlanta and discovered a company and started working for them. It was called Koala Blue. It was Olivia Newton-John's store.
Yeah.
And so then I moved. So she told me about it, and I moved down to Atlanta, and I just can't believe it. Opened the one in Underground Atlanta when Underground Atlanta reopened. I just think about that now, and I'm like, this small Kentucky girl. So, and I have all of my immediate family is still there in the Kentucky area, and then I moved to Georgia, and my aunt and uncle actually live in Columbia, Sumter, right down the road from you. So I'm in that area all the time as well.
Yeah.
So I am a true Southern girl, and most people can tell that from the first word that I say and from my Southern accent.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I mean, I remember Underground Atlanta. I guess that was before the Olympics, right? When it was kind of in its heyday, maybe like in the early 90s.
It had closed down and then it reopened.
Yeah.
In, I want to say about 89-ish, it reopened. And there's a big, big thing. So I worked for them for a couple of years and then to work for the Gap. So I've definitely done my time in retail.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I remember Underground Atlanta because I lived in Atlanta after the Olympics from like 96 to 99, I think. And I think Underground was still going, but it kind of had lost a little bit of that, which I understand because it's just the timeliness of things. And
exactly.
But I do remember going down to Underground Atlanta a good bit. And the World of Coke is right there.
Yes.
And now, of course, the aquarium's right there.
And now there's a lot. The park, the Ferris wheel, just all of
it's amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
Atlanta. it's changed so much. Atlanta, when I was single, living in Atlanta was like the best. Like it was so much fun. And then I came here to South Carolina to go to grad school. So, and I always thought I'd go back. Like I didn't think I'd stay here, but here I am 20 years later.
Well, you know what's funny, when I moved to Atlanta, I know when I moved to Atlanta area and I met my husband, and I said something about downtown Atlanta, and he said, "Well, I don't know. We never went or never go to downtown Atlanta." I said, "What do you mean?" Because I just lived here for a few years. Well, now I totally get it, because we don't ever go. We
Right.
don't ever go to downtown. It's just, it's a long. We go sometimes, but it takes a while to get there, and then you get traffic and all that. So,
and then you got to park. I mean, it's a whole day of. I mean, I know. I trust me. When we go to Atlanta, it's like we don't really go into Atlanta. We go to like the see family. The closest I'll get to downtown Atlanta is probably like Virginia Highlands. Like that's where because I worked at CNN Tower, so that wasn't a very far commute for me. But I couldn't even tell you the last time I was like actually in downtown Atlanta. Probably when the girls were younger and we went to the aquarium. That's what I'm thinking. So, but I love Georgia. So many great cities. And then, of course, Athens is where my brother-in-law lives. Love Athens.
Yes.
So not too far from you. So I'm going to be checking out Monroe and come see. Okay. So a couple more questions about living in the South. What's your favorite Southern food?
Oh, that would have to be macaroni and cheese. Is that considered Southern food?
I think so.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
That or mashed potatoes.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say macaroni and cheese is definitely a vegetable. They always, joke around and consider it a vegetable here in the South, but yeah, you can't really do it wrong. You can do it differently, but you can't really do it wrong. That's the way I say about mac and cheese. So I love it too. Are you a little bit more country, or are you a little bit more rock and roll?
Oh my gosh. Country. And my husband is the rock and roll, and we totally have fun playing the 80s in his car, going around our beautiful town. But that's definitely me.
Awesome. Okay. And one more question. What is your favorite? This isn't a Southern question, but what is your favorite success quote?
Faith is a function of the mind that shows up in the feet. And I don't know exactly who said that, but there are a lot of them. For this particular one, for my business, when I came across that, I'm like, wow, we can have all the faith in the world in us or in the Lord, but if we don't put our feet to it, we have to do our part. We have to. It's not just going to happen on its own.
Yeah.
So I would definitely have to say that's it.
Okay. Well, that's a great quote. I love it. So how can folks find more about you and your bookstore? Where should they go?
So it's the armorybookstore.com. And of course, the Armory Bookstore on Facebook and Instagram. And I do not have necessarily an online store, because there is so much with this type of business. You can buy, I don't think we've even discussed this, but another thing that I'm actually in the middle of getting trademarked is Armor Up Beautiful is my slogan kind of thing, if you want to call it, tagline. I don't know. I have Armor Up hats and t-shirts. And so the Armor Up Beautiful. So the t-shirts are available online, but you can purchase through Instagram DM or Facebook DM, and then we'll just send you an invoice. So I'm going to slowly be adding on the website. First thing I'm going to add is Bibles. I want to be able to offer those, and then the imprinting as well. So that is the way you find me.
Okay, awesome. Well, we'll put everything in the show notes so they can learn more about you, about the store. They can find out about the t-shirts, your made to bloom boxes. Are those still going right now, but you can only buy them in the store kind of thing?
Well, you can buy them in the store, but you can also, I'll post those and people can DM me about the bloom boxes as well. And so we can do both. We can fill one and ship it out. I can ship anywhere in the US. I did that around Mother's Day, and lots of people bought those. And it was so I love doing the work for you. And then you just look and see what you want. And I'll post several different options. So you can just even scroll back through Instagram or DM and say you want a bloom box, and we'll get it for you. And those will be added to maybe even by the time this episode airs, They might even be on the website. So you can check there first because I'm in the middle of transitioning that.
Okay, perfect. Well, Michele, this has just been so fun, and I'm so grateful you came on the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. I have absolutely just adored it. I just love doing this kind of thing.
Well, I'm so glad. Well, that's this week's episode of the Midlife Magic Podcast.
Don't forget to join us next time for another episode. Thank you for listening.